Jordan, this is Ohio Sports Talk, and I am your host, Doug. That's Mad Dog Maxon. How you doing,
What's
buddy?
up?
Let's
Uh,
go,
doing da-
man.
doing damn
Oh,
well, Doug. Minus a few bumps in the road for the Reds. It has been a great weekend in sports, and we have some great news. So I can't wait to dive in.
well, Jordan, I'm glad you led with that because it's been really great. The Reds, we're going to touch on them. We're going to go live and talk about the score of the game right now with the Pirates, 7-3 Reds in the bottom of six. But let's start off with something we're not going to be able to hammer home a lot tonight. The Ohio State recruiting has been absolutely off the charts, Jordan. The Buckeyes have signed. Now, get this, Jordan. Top in the 2025 class, Ohio State has 10 of the top 85 players in the class currently committed. 10 of the top 85 currently committed. Today, Jordan alone, they signed Malik Autry and Zion Grady, two massive recruits. Jordan, this team just keeps on recruiting at an extremely high level. What are your thoughts on Ohio State and the level they're recruiting at? Because this is unheard of. I mean, at this point, we're getting to the point where it is literally unheard of. So, what are your thoughts on the historic class?
Douglas, I'm not shocked. You look at Brian Hartline and what he does in the receivers. Now we're looking at the defense, what Ryan Day's up to. Like you said, Zion Grady, 6'4", 245 pounds. Edge rusher, something we really haven't seen since the Bosa's. This is amazing. It just keeps winning.
Yeah, of course. So shout out to Jenna. Thanks for tuning in right away. We appreciate you. But yeah, this Ohio State recruiting class continues to grow. They signed the big offensive lineman from Westerville yesterday. Just, he's a consensus 3-star by a bunch of publications. He is a 4-star. So let's give him his props. Another awesome recruit. Just absolutely loaded, Jordan. The rich get richer in this situation. But Jordan, let's actually move on, and we'll circle around to that later tonight. Jordan, the Cavaliers have a head basketball coach. Kenny Atkinson has
Yes.
officially been named the Cavaliers head coach. Jordan, you called it last Thursday. You said by the end of the weekend, into Monday, we will have a head coach. We'll have it to talk about. You were right. Kenny Atkinson is the guy. There was a little bit of back and forth in the Cavs organization about this decision. It sounds like Dan Gilbert came in at the last minute and said, Atkinson is our guy. What are your thoughts, Jordan? Kenny Atkinson officially the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Kenny Atkinson bringing a ton of experience over from his time in Brooklyn. He has a great relationship with Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. If those pieces stay in Cleveland, and it's kind of looking like Jared Allen will stay for at least another year at this point in time. But this is a great signing. He comes over from the Warriors that he helped construct their run at a certain point in time, got that team together, and he's never had great players as a head coach, which his time in Brooklyn reflected that. But he's got the experience and the skill on how to coach and manage talent from Golden State. So I think we're getting a great combination here, Douglas. Like I said, we've been hitting on over and over. We have great trade pieces if need be. We're not in a terrible place in the draft. It sounds to me like maybe Dan Gilbert / I wouldn't put out Donovan Mitchell putting in the kind of the final stamp as
Yes.
somebody that signed off on this. We knew he was coming back from France this weekend. So it kind of culminated into this big decision that they made. Those conversations probably happened Saturday, Sunday. They broke the news today, Monday. So it's just really great to see. The draft is Wednesday. We'll plug into a little bit of that here in a minute.
Yep.
But just overall, a great win for the organization. Douglas, you touched on it on the tweet about his speed of the game and how he likes to push the offense, where JB Bickerstaff was kind of slower. So
Yeah.
Atkinson brings that new elevation level, I think, for the Cavaliers is much needed, because the Cavs at times, and it reared its ugly head against the Celtics, we're so slow on offense sometimes, and we like to make more decisions and kind of overthink it. By the time you blink, a team like the Celtics are up 10, 20 points, and it's really hard to battle back from that. So Kenny Atkinson is going to come in and change the pace of the squad. So
sure.
I'm super excited, Douglas. Super excited.
Yeah. To reconfirm your point, in 2019, under Kenny Atkinson, the Brooklyn Nets were number 1 in the NBA in pace. The Cavs have ranked bottom 5 in pace every year. JB Bickerstaff was the coach of the team. So, like you said, pace will be weaponized in Kenny Atkinson offense. There will be a lot more movement on the offense, a lot more actions inside of the offense. So that is definitely something to look forward to. Now we get to see Kenny Atkinson lay out his coaching staff, who's going to be his head assistant. That'll all be coming probably in the next week or so. And I would expect us now, Jordan, to get the Donovan Mitchell signing done because based on everything I've read, he signed off on the Kenny Atkinson deal. I think that pretty much stamps that. So he will be, I believe it's 4 years, $207 million, I believe is the max for Donnie. So I would expect that to get signed here soon. So Jordan, we've been talking about this for a couple months now. The first domino finally falls, and we are now headed in that direction. We have our coach. We know who our guy's going to be. We know Donnie's more than likely going to be back. Now we can build from here and start getting into building hopefully a championship contending roster. So very excited about that, Jordan. Very excited. Ready for Cavs basketball now. I'm like, now I've got all this energy for basketball again, and I'm ready. I'm just ready for it to get going.
Douglas, and it's only going to get better with the draft, and then we know I'm going to touch on this because Cleveland, we have our ear to it. You know, the king is a free agent. LeBron James could come back home, and there's a lot of interesting things happening in LA right now with their head coaching announcement. So I think this also kind of reinforces Kenny Atkinson's experience with veterans. This could be the thing that brings him back one more time, Douglas. I do want to highlight that is no longer just a pipe dream. That is something that can become a real reality for the Cleveland Ball Club.
I hope so. To me, that still feels like very wishful thinking. I think LeBron and JJ are a lot closer than what's been talked about. Again, they did a whole podcast this season together. They've been in the trenches. I think LeBron goes back to LA, but that's just my opinion. I don't mind the optimism. That would be excellent for the Cavs. But Jordan, let's kind of transition here because we've got our coach. We think Donovan Mitchell's trailing in behind. Let's talk about the NBA draft. The NBA draft is on Wednesday this year. Whew, man. Quick turnaround. You know, you give your coach 2 days to kind of prepare and see what we need. And Jenna highly doubts LeBron's back. Also, I'm in that same boat. But we got a couple days to prepare. Jordan, draft's on Wednesday. We have the 20th pick in the draft. Earlier today, I threw together a little draft board for us, some tiers of players that I would like to see the Cavs take. Obviously, if you look at it, S tier is the top player that I would like to see the Cavs draft, and that's Tristan da Silva from Colorado. I believe with his size and his versatility on the wing and ability to shoot the ball, to me, he feels like a very good pick at 20 if he's still there. There's been mock drafts that I've seen, Jordan, where he's gone as high as 16. There's mock drafts. Well. Yeah, there's mock drafts that, have him falling to us at 20. I really do think he would be a great, great player for us. So he is my top pick for the Cavs if he is available. And then you look at my next tier, Jordan, Deron Holmes, our guy from Dayton. Literally, we've watched him. We've watched him the last 3 seasons. Season tickets. We see him all the time. We're big, obviously, with the Dayton Twitter. I would like to see Deron Holmes be a Cleveland Cavalier. Now, I think there are other teams where he could go and maybe have a bigger role. But could you imagine having that guy behind Evan Mobley and potentially Jared Allen as our guy off the bench, somebody who can stretch the floor, run the floor, pick and roll at a high level? I think that would be a really solid pick for us.
I would love him to take Isaiah Okoro's spot. I would honestly love to see that.
Well, he's not a small forward, but yes,
I get it, but the way they play him on defense, and we know Deron Holmes can shoot the 3 when he gets up there. That's something it would be kind of unnatural for him, but I would love to see him kind of in that role if we do stick with the two bigs that are already on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like it would be a very hard ask for Deron, but stranger things happen. In my A tier, Carlton Carrington. He's a guard out of Pittsburgh, 6'5", 200 pounds, a freshman. He is a high upside type player, a guy who can penetrate, he can shoot, he does a little bit of everything. And the only thing I've really seen with his game that he can improve on is probably his finishing at the rim. But a guy who could come in and be that second unit guard who could get the offense going, maybe score some points off the bench. I like what I saw from him offensively. And then my B tier right now in some mock drafts that I've seen, it's Keyshawn. I mistyped it out and said Keyshawn, thinking of Keyshawn Johnson, but Keyshawn George, 6'8", really a big wing. He's a good defender. He can get to his spots. He shot 40% from three, Jordan. Really good young player out of Miami. And then I also put in that tier Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn is a guard from Virginia. Ryan Dunn is a really good defender. He is probably the best individual defender in this draft based on my research and based on what I've seen. Castle is probably 1A from UConn because he can really defend too. But Ryan Dunn, he is a guy who defends at a high level. If he could develop his offensive game, his three-point shot, he is a guy who can help an NBA team for sure. My C tier, and this is where we kind of get into those spots where I don't know if I love the fit for the Cavs. Tyler Smith, he is a very high potential player, but just not a guy that I trust. I'm not big on the G League guys yet. G League Ignite, I don't love it. He is a 6'10", hybrid, small forward. Of course, he is very talented. He has a nice shooting stroke. I just don't love those guys that go to the G League for whatever reason. It's just I watch so much college basketball. I think that it still matters playing in college, Jordan. And then Johnny Furphy from Kansas. He's definitely a good shooter. He is a very good shooter.
We're able to see a couple of their games this year.
Yeah, I just don't love some other parts of his game. I'm not going to, get on here and disparage this kid. I just don't think it would be my favorite pick. If somebody else sees him and thinks he fits a lot better, that's great. I just don't love it for the Cavs, in my opinion. And my last one, I've seen him mocked to us only a couple times. Kyle Filipowski from Duke. The way he got abused on defense in the NCAA tournament really turned me off for him. I do think he has good offensive skills. I do think his game will translate relatively well, but it's going to definitely be a big curve for him. So he's a no for me. And then Isaiah Collier, the USC guard, just I don't think he's a real point guard, and he's a little bit small for to be the two guard. So I think his size is an issue.
I thought his size was an issue in the college level. So I think definitely coming up to the pros where, it's you're playing all-star talent night in and night out. I'm not taking anything away from the man. Maybe he can be a good role player, but the way this team is constructed right now, I don't think he'd be the greatest fit either. And again, I'm not taking, he's an athlete. He's made it to where he is through hard work, but it just, for this squad, I don't think he would be the best fit either.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a good passer, and he can get to the basket. He's got a good frame, struggles shooting, and in the NBA, you've got to be able to knock down a jump shot, which I'm sure he will eventually. I just don't love it for what we have right now with Garland and Mitchell. I think Carlton Carrington fits better with them than Isaiah Collier would, so I have him in my D tier. And that's kind of the breakdown for the draft, Jordan. Out of these guys, who would you be most excited for us to draft? I mean, we both know that we need a small forward who can hit shots. So Tristan da Silva probably. But if you couldn't pick him, who would you like to see the Cavs bring in?
I'm going to be a little bit biased. I would honestly love to see Deron Holmes come to the Cavs. We know he can finish. And this is just my thought that Jared Allen, he might be there at the beginning of the season, but I do think he's going to be a trade candidate, especially when All-Star break comes around. And, our new coach kind of gets his scheme in, and if it doesn't fit it, Douglas, I think he's on the short list because he's still going to be valuable.
Yep.
We're still going to get good trade value out of him, and we might have to draft it. If our number one guy, if Tristan da Silva is not there, we got to draft kind of that, not necessarily a replacement, but we we have to draft some that kind of style. So I would love to see Deron Holmes come home. We know he can finish across the rim. We know he can put up some threes. We know he can play some defense.
Yeah.
And that combination right there, if our number one top tier guys isn't there, it's got to be Deron Holmes in my mind. And that I know that sounds biased because of where we're located, but just based on pure talent wise, and I think Holmes once he gets into the gym in the NBA and kind of in the summer league, I think he's going to break in better with his frame. Maybe slender down some, but I think he's going to do well.
Okay. Yeah, I think if it's not De Silva, I do think Holmes or Carrington are my choices. I would not be upset if we got George. His frame is NBA ready. I just worry about some of his first step and things like that, some of his athleticism off the first step. I don't worry about him at the rim per se, but getting open in the NBA is definitely harder than it is in college. So that would be my only reservation on him. So give me, if it's not Holmes, it's not De Silva, Carrington, George is more than fine with me. So yeah, we just wanted to jump in. We know Cavs got a big decision coming up on Wednesday. Very excited to see who they bring in. Very excited to see where they draft. Do we go with a starter that are a small forward that's our need, or do we go with a potential guy who could help down the road? I do think it needs to be based on need, but you never know where a new coach wants to go and what he wants to build. So we'll go that way.
I think because Donovan Mitchell's age and everything, I'm not saying he's old by standards, but by NBA standards, when he's already kind of has the veteran years on him,
yeah,
we have to. I would draft, in my opinion, if I was Kobe Altman and I wanted to keep my job, I would draft on winning now. I get you always kind of want to peek into the future and draft a guy that's going to be able to development off the bench, but that's not where this team is, Douglas. We were first round exits 2 years ago against the Knicks. We got past Orlando. We gave Boston a hell of a run, even due to injuries and bad coaching. This team needs to draft by position need, and if the position need's not there, they have to kind of go the NFL route and draft best available to win now, and that's how I would run it.
Okay, Jordan, let's transition. We've got FC Cincinnati. Tough night the other night. They lose to the New England Revolution, and we touched on it a little bit on Twitter, Jordan. Dude, they could not find the back of the net to save their lives the other night. It just felt like every single time they had a good look, they just couldn't put it away. And that's a tough loss because New England's not a great team, but listen to these numbers, Jordan. FC controlled the ball 57% of the match. They had 5 shots on goal, 20 shot attempts, 9 corner kicks, and only 1 goal. That is heartbreaking for a team as good as they are, and the magic that they had against Philly the night before. I mean, that's just extremely rough. Extremely rough. So, what were your thoughts on the game? Because that was a tough one for FC Cincinnati.
Well, I knew it was going to be a little bit tougher, but to miss some of the corner kicks that he did was disappointing. But I'm also going to chalk it up to a little bit of, they played on the West Coast. They had to travel from California. They had a game that really went down to the last minute and second of play, a big comeback. So you take those 2 games, and Douglas, we played sports all of our lives, and we've coached and we've been involved. When you hit a certain level of being on top, sometimes it just doesn't work for you. I think the energy level coming off the break, coming off the West Coast trip, having a huge emotional win at home, everything kind of culminated. I thought I saw some tired legs from the highlights and the features that I saw. I don't have Apple TV yet, but I was able to kind of look at the game, bits and pieces here and there. So I saw some tired legs, Doug, and maybe some unwanted substitutions there in the second half. So it just kind of happens that way. Soccer and baseball, both are it's not a sprint like the NFL where you have to win week in and week out, or NCAA football. It's a marathon, and you're going to run into these games. They didn't go down in the standings that much. They're still on Miami's heels. So it's not as bad as it looks, but we would love to see the win pull out. But at the end of the day, that team looked tired to me. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of slack this week and kind of chalk it up to it's been an emotional rush. They went from nothing, playing on the West Coast, big win, home, big win, big energy high, and I think that that dopamine, that adrenaline dump finally came up, finally reared its ugly head, and we kind of culminated a loss. It wasn't a bad loss by industry standards. If you kind of look at the score, I know the statistics say we dominated the game and should have come out with it, but we don't win every night, and soccer's a marathon. So I think looking for them to rebound. If they struggle in the next game, then I'll start to worry, but I think they're going to be fine.
Jordan, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like you said, it's not necessarily a sprint, and you did have a very grueling game against Philly a couple days prior. So there probably is some, emotional dump and some things like that go into it. We always want to win every game and
Yes.
and all that kind of rah, no matter what. They're still 2 points behind Miami. It's not like the separation has been crazy. So, yeah, I mean, they drop one and they get another chance against Dallas this Saturday. I mean, so that's the thing. You get that nice break, though. You play the play two close ones, and then you get that week off and to regroup against Dallas. I expect them to come out, and I expect them to put a little hurting on Dallas this weekend,
Yes.
Jordan. Get back in there, maybe like a 3-0. What are you thinking for that game, that Dallas matchup?
I think you hit it on the head. I think 3, make the opponent in Dallas drop a goose egg, come out with a lot of energy, and just kind of dominate the game. Let our captains, let our all-stars do what they do best. They have some rest, not too much travel in the time zones right now, like they just got off of coming from California. So I expect them to get back to their winning ways, and next Monday we'll be back on the train and cheering them back on and kind of praising them, and we'll have some highlights for our fans. So I think it's going to be fun, Douglas.
Yep, definitely. We just missed a couple of things. Jordan Ellie hit a 2-run bomb, 439 feet. India doubled to left. Malley singled to right. Steers singled to center. Ellie had doubled before that. It is 11-5 Reds right now, Jordan. So Reds are getting the bats out. Things are going the right direction for the Reds right now. It's going well. It's going well. It's going well right now for the Reds. So that's let's keep that excitement going for them. And man, this would be a nice bounce back win for the Reds. Definitely. So yeah, we both got FC Cincinnati bouncing back and getting back into the win column. And it's just funny that, we're doing the show and the Reds are absolutely smacking the cover off the ball. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It didn't start that way, Douglas. We didn't have any runs going into the 4th inning, so I was getting a little nervous.
Well, Jordan, this is a good chance right here to transition. Jordan, let's get into the Reds because we've lost 3 series in a row now, Jordan. We lost last night to end the series against Boston. It was not a great effort. We did have a little bit of a comeback later in that game. What are your thoughts, Jordan, about the Reds skid recently? We are struggling.
Well, like you just said, Douglas, we split it with the Ohio Cup. We go 1-1 against Cleveland. I felt great about that. We went into Pittsburgh, absolutely just kind of fell apart. The bats were quiet. The pitching was great. We got quality starts from our starters. Hunter Green continues to pitch well. Abbott pitches decent. Nick Lodolo, enough said there. Absolute having a monster year. And then, we kind of transition from that. Game 1 against the Red Sox. We absolutely take it to them. We played a level of our competition. Great night all around for pitching. Great night for the bats. Defensively, made a lot of plays in the infield. Didn't make many errors. Then just games 2 and 3, Douglas, I just didn't see the energy. I didn't see the energy offensively. We had bad base running, coaches making bad calls. It just kind of the stuff we've been talking about over and over and over like a broken record. it doesn't faze me anymore. I see bad plays from the Reds. I see bad base running. Guys just kind of look almost disinterested. So I don't know. Then we see David Bell get mad again. I think he set the record now as a Reds manager for 32 ejections this year. 33 it might be, but I know for 32 for sure. It it's not looking good. I mean, tonight looks great, but Douglas, you hit the nail on the head. We always look great in a game one. How will games 2 and 3 fold out? I that's the Reds mystery. That's the puzzle I've been talking about for the last 2 episodes, the last 2 weeks for our viewers. I hope we make some phone calls and call another club, call the Oakland A's. Let's get another hitter. Let's get something going, Douglas, because we don't have nights like tonight consistently, and it's killing us. It's absolutely killing us. Our pitchers are coming out and doing the best. Our bullpen looks kind of spit shined, but we're not pulling it through. And I don't have the answers yet again. It's kind of head scratching at this point. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I don't think anything's changed because we were having a good night on offense tonight. We still need help. We still need a bat in the outfield, definitely. That needs to happen sooner or later. But the top trade candidates aren't hitting the ball very well either right now. Sure, they have some home runs, but I wouldn't say it doesn't seem like there's a lifeline out there right now that we need to go out and get. So I do think that's part of the issue. And already we know Nick Kroll is not going to go out and break the bank to bring in a guy. So it's not going to be a great addition. It's going to be maybe something around the edges, which sucks because we're a good team and we have it. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom on the internet, but we do have a good team. We're right on the cusp. We're a piece here, we're a piece there, and we could be in the mix. I don't think we could win anything crazy. I don't think we could win a series this year. But it doesn't hurt to make the wild card. And I think we could do that if management comes together, if we can get this lineup figured out. We have thrown out some shit lineups recently. I mean, I know David Bell doesn't have the full tool shed, but damn, there's been some shit lineups out here recently. And our pitching has been too good to keep letting these guys down. And that's what I hate the most. Is we're getting good starts. We got Lodolo definitely got roughed up a little bit, but he still battled his ass off last night. I'll tell you what, Jordan, that strike zone last night, that was shit. the way they were treating Nick Lodolo last night was shit. He only gave up 3 earned runs, but he should have had at least 6 or 7 strikeouts because he was getting no help from the umpire last night.
Well, it wasn't called fair. On the flip side, our batters were getting struck out by stuff that was way off the corner. And it was good to see David Bell. I kind of touched on it. Good to see him get a fire under his ass and get ejected. But it led to some runs, like you said, late in the game. We tried to spur a comeback. You and I were paying attention to it while we were catching up on Sunday, but it didn't culminate into a win. Tonight looks a little different, but like you said, we don't get many nights like tonight consistently on offense. So,
well, Jordan,
something has to happen.
What is tonight's game, though? What is it? It's the first game of a series. We're great in the first game of series.
Right.
This is almost expected at this point for us to show up and play well. We don't get this every night. We get it in the first game of a series. We don't get it in games 2 and 3. I hope that we can find that in the next 2 games, but it's all year. This has been part of the problem. All year we've struggled in game 2s and 3s. We're one of the worst teams in games 2s and 3s. We got Hunter Green going tomorrow against Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller destroyed us last time. Andrew Abbott's pitching on Wednesday. Hunter Green, I expect him to come out and throw a good game, but he gets shit run support against the Pirates. Why would we expect that to change tomorrow night? We're so Jekyll and Hyde. There's no consistency inside of our lineup besides our best 2-3 guys. We can rely on them for the most part, but even then, Ellie's still liable to strike out 3 times in a game, and it looked terrible. Spencer Steers liable to hit 2 line drives as hard as you've ever seen right at the outfielder. I mean, so we just don't have this consistent offense that we need with how good our pitching's been. So
I do want to give a shout out to, because even though there were a couple losses, Candelario is on fire. So
Love
I do want to touch on a positive. If we end the segment on anything, Douglas, about the Reds, Candelario has changed my mentality. I wasn't big on the contract when we first signed him. He kind of came out sluggish, but he has proven me wrong and put my own foot in my mouth. I'm always happy to see that. So, big shout out to Candelario, absolutely getting it done right now through home runs, through hits, manufactured, doing what he has to do, hitting RBIs in, even though it's a sack fly. Really great on him. He's been playing incredible the last probably 6 to 7 games, probably the last month, if we really want to chalk it up.
So if you look at his numbers, Jordan, he's up to 254 batting average. He's up to 14 home runs. He's got the on-base percentage up over 300. And he's second on the team in hits behind Ellie, first in doubles. He's second on the team in RBIs. He's playing great. He's playing really good baseball. And this is the guy that we thought we could potentially get, but like we said, he started out slow, and that happens sometimes. That looks like it's kind of been his MO, is slow starter, and we're getting into these summer months where he warms up, and it's been great for the Reds. That's a great spot to end on, Jordan, with the Reds. And then I've got this little I just got this little graphic. I'm gonna hide us real quick. Sell the team, Bob. Sell the team. You're killing us. You are absolutely killing us.
So somebody call the Sheen family and let's get this transitioned out here.
Sheen family.
Hey, they go to almost every game, Douglas.
They don't have enough money.
Doug, it'd be more effort than what our current ownership is sitting on. We would see more effort.
All right, Jordan, let's transition. We've got our college football spotlight or highlight tonight. Yes. We're talking about the UC Bearcats, Jordan. UC Bearcats, tough go of it last season. Very, very tough. They first year in the Big 12, they went 3-9, Jordan. They are led by their head coach, Scott Satterfield. Like I said, 3-9 last year. For now, ouch. They play at Nippert Stadium. Nippert Stadium is somewhere I spent a decent amount of time when I was a little younger, going down to Cincinnati and having some long nights. Their rivals are Louisville and Miami of Ohio. They play Miami of Ohio in the Liberty Bell game, which is always fun. Nice rivalry game there. The Bearcats are projected to finish 13th in the Big 12 this year with a 4-8 record. I will pull up their schedule here in a minute. Tough time in the Big 12. And if you look at their schedule, Jordan, they don't even play some of the top teams in the Big 12 this year. That's how low people are on the Bearcats right now. But I do think there are some positives, and I'm going to touch on those for you because they do have some damn good football players on this team. If you look at their recruiting class, they had the 51st rated recruiting class. That's pretty damn good with 21 commits. The 40th rated transfer class, Jordan, with 25 commits. They went out and absolutely pounded the pavement for players this offseason. And I really appreciate that out of the coaching staff because you had a bunch of holes. You're losing a couple guys here and there. You go out and you bring in some damn good football players. So I do appreciate that from the head coaching staff. Their best three players, Corey Kiner, the running back, rushed for over 1,000 yards, had 5 TDs. Expected to be even better this year. Cincinnati also brought in Evan Poyer from Ohio State, who will definitely give them a little bit of a boost in the backfield also. So I'm excited about that. Dante Corleone, the D tackle, is one of the best defensive linemen in football. He is incredible, an absolute space eater. He can do a little bit of everything. He will be a NFL draft pick for sure in the first round. And then their center, Gavin Gerhardt, one of the best centers in college football. He was rated that way last season, and he anchors a very good offensive line. So that is some stuff that the UC Bearcats have going in their favor. They also bring in quarterback Brendan Sorsby from Indiana, who threw for 1,600 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's a 6'3". He's all around. He can run a little bit. He can throw a little bit. He is a good athlete. So, like I said, Jordan, UC, they've got a lot of good football players. They just play in a damn good conference. Now, it's not as great now that Oklahoma and Texas have gone officially, but still, Utah, Colorado is they're going to be fun to watch. I don't think they're going to be great, but there's still some really good high profile games out there for Cincinnati. What are your thoughts looking at this so far?
Well, it has been kind of a fall from grace, Doug, because you look at Cincinnati the last couple previous years, even dating all the way back when they had Fickle there, and we saw them in some good bowl games. We even saw them kind of take Georgia to the max just a few years ago. So
that was a hell of a game. Hell of a ball game.
That was a hell of a game. Big shout out. Wish the left tackle didn't get ejected in the game. Kind of went south after that. But and maybe that's just the name of the game. They went through kind of a coaching corral, a lot of transfers, no consistency at quarterback last year was kind of their main problem. So it was good to see, like you said, they beat the pavement, brought in what they absolutely know they needed from the transfer portal in this day and age of the NIL. So I think I'm guessing more around 6 wins, Doug, because I kind of did get to a peek of the schedule myself today, kind of pre-prepping for our show. So I don't think they'll be as bad as 4 wins, because they do play behind a damn good offensive line. They have one of the better running backs in NCAA overall, and it's just going to get better. They got some juice from Ohio State because their Ohio State's running back room is just too much.
Yep.
And he's going to make an impact here at UC, make no doubt about it. But I'm predicting 6 wins, Doug. How do you feel? Do you think, are you solid at 4, or do you think because the coaching staff kind of plugged some holes and this team kind of makes the next step? It is year 2 in the Big 12, so they get to adjust to the traveling, they get to adjust to the new atmospheres. Last year, inconsistency, and it had to be kind of a culture shock, right? I mean, you would believe going from a much smaller conference, even though they had played in playoff style atmosphere, so it shouldn't have been too much, but things do add up. But I give them 6 wins.
Okay, 6 wins is interesting. Also, Jordan, you touched on that. They lost Luke Fickell. Losing Luke Fickell, when you think you're going to bring that coach into the Big 12 and be contending right away with his players, and he goes to Wisconsin, I'm positive that set the program back. They definitely lost recruits. They had guys transfer out. A lot changed when they lost Luke Fickell. So I do understand that first year in the Big 12 was probably a real kick in the mouth, and it takes time. Like I said, they went out and recruited their asses off. They put together a great transfer portal. They put together a good recruiting class. I think it was 5th in the Big 12 in terms of recruiting classes. But look at their schedule, Jordan. They got Townsend. They're going to absolutely eat up Townsend. Pitt's going to be a toss-up. That's a low-key rivalry game. And then they do have a legitimate rivalry game at Miami of Ohio. We talked about Miami of Ohio 2 weeks ago, Jordan. Yes. They are favored to win the MAC. They are a good football team. So that's not a easy win. Houston is projected to be lower on the Big 12 side. That's a tough game no matter what. At Texas Tech, UCF, another tough one. Arizona State, they should probably beat Arizona State.
I can most certainly see them, because Arizona State's been a mess the last couple of seasons between coaching, internal problems. They had a lot of transfers out because of that, and they're projected, I think, even for a worse year. But I could see them beating Arizona State. I could see taking them UCF. I could see that game going Cincinnati's way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. At Colorado, that should be an interesting game. That'll be one I'll definitely tune into to see how they match up.
Is that a Thursday night?
That is that's Saturday, still TBA. West Virginia, that's a 50-50 kind of game. Iowa State, I think they can win that game. At Kansas State, that's going to be a tough game. Kansas State's going to contend to win the Big 12 this year. And TCU is another – I mean, they've got a lot of 50-50 games. If the players that they brought in from the transfer portal can come in and be good right away, they might sneak into 5 to 6 wins. But you never know. Bringing in new guys, new system, all that kind of stuff, it could take time. And if it takes time, they beat Townsend, but if they lose to Pitt, lose to Miami, you start off real slow going into the Big 12, and you start to get those old feelings back. Oh no, 3-9, we could 4-8, here we come, that kind of stuff. So that can happen. I like your boldness. 6 wins. I'm gonna go 5. I'm gonna go 5 wins for the Bearcats this year. I would love for them to do better. I low key support them. I don't want them to do bad. There's no reason to not root for them and want them to do well. So
I,
You know, just because I'm an Ohio State fan doesn't mean I root against the rest of these Ohio teams.
no, not at all. And I think they still won against UCF, and I think they still won against Pitt. So get there. There's my 5 and 6.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, good luck to the Bearcats this year. We'll definitely be watching and supporting from afar, and we're going to be talking about a lot of college football coming up here in the fall. So us and everybody else will definitely be just talking college football. Jordan, let's live look in at the Reds. It's 11-6 right now. The Pirates have put on another run. Or sorry, 11-5. I read that wrong. 11-5. The Pirates have not scored again yet. We've got Jordan, Malley, and India up here in the bottom of the 8th. Hopefully the Reds can pull this one out, Jordan. Ugh, they make me so damn nervous. Even with a 6-run lead, they make me nervous. But Jordan, let's get into something fun here, buddy. Summertime, we're in that time of year. We're going to rank our top 3 summer vacation spots. What is your number 3 vacation spot, Jordan?
Number 3 for me, probably be Myrtle Beach. I got to go there a few times. Got to go there a lot for the Marine Corps, but a few times growing up. So that's going to be my lock spot. Good food, get to go to the boardwalk. Always looking for souvenirs, having a good time. I'm a big beach guy. You know, I love playing sand volleyball. Love the atmosphere. Even if I just want to kick a chair and go to sleep. So put me down for Myrtle Beach.
Jordan, I'm gonna go with Universal Studios, Florida, Orlando. I went when I was really young, and I just loved all the, you know, Terminator or Jaws, all those cool rides. So, and I just thought Universal was so cool. So I'm gonna say Orlando is my number 3 spot. Jordan, what is your number 2 spot?
Douglas, and again, fans, we don't script this before we go on. It is Universal Studios Orlando. I've got to go there a few times as an adult. I got to go there as a kid. And you hit the nail on the head for me. We talked about movies last week. We all know Jaws was in our top. But yeah, the Jaws ride is no longer there. But there's a rumor, Douglas, the 50th year anniversary for Jaws is next year. And Universal is working on a project around where that ride used to be. So a lot of feelings are that ride might be coming back to Orlando. But, you know, I love the Clearwater Beach, you know, outside of Orlando. Love Orlando, the rides. Absolutely, the Jurassic Park ride. I couldn't get it enough. That T-Rex coming down on my face was life-changing.
So cool. So cool.
It is. If any of our fans or viewers get to go, it's an amazing experience, especially if you got kids now. You know, go out there and, you know, show them some magic.
Yep, no, that's a good one. My number 2, Jordan, I'm going to go with just outside of Seattle, Washington. We went out there a couple years ago for a wedding. It is so beautiful out in Washington, right off the water. You could look out into this bay, and it was just gorgeous. You know, they had the whale watching and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely loved going out there. And you know what, Jordan, blew my mind is because we hadn't gotten to the point here in Ohio where dispensaries are really a big thing. You just walk into a dispensary and buy, and you know, I would smoke a little bit, but I hadn't got into you know, some of the edibles. And that first day I was there, I took way too much and just I couldn't move. I was stuck. My mouth was dry. It was a hell of a trip, though. Beautiful place. I would love to go back out there sometime, and now with a little bit more experience, not absolutely destroy myself with edibles the first day. But Seattle, Washington, beautiful, beautiful place. Highly recommend it. So that's my number 2. What is your number 1, Jordan?
For me, it's going to be family linked. My dad's side is from Biloxi, Mississippi, and it's off a coast. It's off a docking area. They have casinos. They have a beach for the kids, casinos for the adults. Everything you can eat there. If you're a big seafood fan, their catch of the day is literally what they went out in the ocean that day before and got off the docks. Some of the best eating in my life. I'm big into spicy foods and things like that. So to me, a little bit of Cajun lifestyle, couldn't get enough of it. So that's my number 1. It's family related. got a lot of linked memories there. So just good times all around. Can't wait to take my kids. So it'll be a good experience.
That's a good one, Jordan. Let's see. I'm trying to decide. It's probably going to be Clearwater, Florida. We used to go down there a lot with our family and spend a lot of time down there. And I, like you, love the ocean. I can't tell you how many hours I would spend when I was younger just running and smacking into a wave and just
Yes.
let it take me down. And I would roll around on the ground and just get hammered by waves. And I just absolutely loved it. You know, the atmosphere down in Florida when you're from somewhere like in Ohio, it's so much different because you don't have that beauty and the beach and everything like that. And having that fresh crab for the first time when I was a kid, I've loved crab ever since. I'll bash on some crab if it's ever given the opportunity. So I'm gonna say Clearwater, Florida. Love the beach. I would love to go back as soon as possible. So that is my number one. As you can tell, we are Ohio guys, you know, with a lot of Florida ties and things like that. So that's why I threw Washington in there, because I did have a great time going out there. But that's a good list, Jordan. That's a fun list. Jordan, you have anything else before we get out of here today, buddy?
No, we hit on a lot. I'm very excited that Kenny Atkinson. I'll be thanking Cavaliers in my sleep probably the next 2 or 3 nights until post draft. We'll be 100% ready to talk about all those results on Monday, and just kind of moving forward. We want to shout out to our boys in the North. The Cleveland Guardians did get some revenge. They did sweep the Blue Jays successfully after kind of having a struggle with them the week prior. So, you know, big shout out to Cleveland. They're still killing it in AL. Still one of the best teams in baseball consistently. We don't want to forget you Cleveland fans out there. So it was nice to see them do what they do best and really get back on the horse there.
Best record in baseball percentage-wise. Shout out to the Guardians. They are doing a damn good job representing Ohio and keeping us alive in the playoffs. Good for them. Good for the Guardians. Jordan, at our peak tonight, 78 live viewers. So we want to shout out each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching the show tonight. And I want to thank you guys for getting us to the 201 subscriber mark on YouTube. We officially hit that plateau. Thank you for doing that for us. We will continue to put content on there. Appreciate you guys so much. We've got some important stuff going on with the show this week. We'll be live again Thursday at 9:00. Excited to bring some more Ohio sports to you guys. So last check-in before we get out of here, the Reds are still up 11-5 going into the top of the 9th. Hopefully the boys close it out strong, get the win tonight. Jordan, hell of a show. Can't wait to be back with you on Thursday. Again, Thursday, 9:00. We will be live. We will see you then. This has been Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Doug. That's the Mad Dog, and we will see you next time.